In the beginning of December, some of the biggest crypto CEOs testified before Congress. If you haven't watched it, you can find almost 5-hour video on YouTube or simply watch the highlights. I can tell you that I watched the entire thing and there was a lot, but I'm very excited about what this hearing might bring to the industry. There were plenty of things discussed and many industry-specific words used: NFTs, DeFi, and so on. One of the issues that was in the spotlight were stablecoins. And I figured that many people out there who are new to the crypto world might still be confused with the definition of a stablecoin. And in the spirit of me always encouraging you to seek as much information as possible, not only about the project you are interested in, but also the industry itself, I decided to make this video. Whether you hold stablecoins or not, I want you to know what they are, why they gained popularity, what types of them are out there, and what pros and cons they have. Hi, I'm Vlad, and this is your BunnyMoney channel with a weekly dose of finance, trading, and crypto-related knowledge. Before we dive into the subject of today's video, I would like to remind you that none of this information provided here is financial advice. It's my personal experience and it's given to you for educational purposes only. So, stablecoins, what are they? You might have heard of them or not, but they have been on the rise in popularity recently. Stablecoins are cryptocurrencies, the price of which is linked with the value of an external asset. This external asset might be, for example, US dollar, or it might be a commodity, such as gold. Over the time of their existence, stablecoins acquired a certain reputation, same as, for example, Bitcoin did. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are usually considered extremely volatile, since the investors can see massive changes in prices in one day. If you watched my video about how to spot the next 100 times coin, I will link it in the description. You might know that higher volatility might indicate a higher potential for growth and therefore a higher earning potential. However, it also means huge swings in the other, less desirable direction too. And while many people think that this is only true for newer or smaller coins, even the leading cryptocurrencies sometimes have massive changes in prices for a variety of reasons. So at least in this context, stablecoins seems more promising. Why? Because they are tied to a relatively stable benchmark. And I guess this is where the initial appeal came from. In fact, this reduced volatility is one of the reasons why these stablecoins became so popular in the first place. To such a degree, in fact, that it soon became very obvious that there is currently a lack of regulations regarding stablecoins and something needs to be done in order to make sure that everyone plays fair and no fraud or manipulations occur. Another reason why more and more people pay attention to stablecoins is the scope of their application. In fact, today stablecoins are used in trading, lending, or borrowing of other digital assets, in the US at least. The aim is for them to be also used for payments, for services or goods, and in the sphere of international payments, mostly due to rather low transfer fees. Compared to nowadays, when it's still rather complicated and costly to send money between the countries, low fees, convenience, and speed of stablecoins look promising. While the central idea of stablecoins is that they are tied to the outside asset, the rest of their design varies depending on what exactly they are pegged to. On this basis, all stablecoins can be divided into the following groups. Fiat-backed stablecoins. To be considered an asset and therefore something a stablecoin can be tied to, the value is supposed to hold over time. When a stablecoin is backed by the fiat currency, it means that there is a fixed ratio between the two, for instance 1:1. This ratio means that for every stablecoin that is in circulation, there is $1 stored in the reserve. These reserves are maintained and monitored by an entity that has to guarantee that the set ratio stays correct, meaning that the amount of fiat currency truly reflects the circulating supply of stablecoin. Some of the stablecoins backed by fiat currencies you might know are USD, Tether, USDT, which is backed by US dollar in the ratio of 1:1. It's hosted on Ethereum blockchain. Another digital stablecoin is USD coin, USDC, which is also backed by US dollar. It's run on Ethereum, Stellar, and Solana, among others. Commodity-backed stablecoins. These stablecoins are tied to, for instance, gold. Same as fiat-backed coins, the amount of commodity must reflect the circulating supply of the stablecoin. An example of a stablecoin linked to gold is Pax Gold, which is backed by 1 fine troy ounce of a 400 ounce London Good Delivery gold bar, according to their website. Both fiat-backed and commodity-backed stablecoins are linked to an asset that is off-chain, meaning that there is a physical asset tied to a stablecoin. There are other types, however, which are pegged to on-chain assets, for instance, crypto-backed stablecoins. The same principle that is used with fiat-backed stablecoins applies here, with the difference being that the collateralization happens on the blockchain through smart contracts in a decentralized manner. The supply of these stablecoins is regulated on-chain as well. DAI is a crypto-backed stablecoin. It aims to maintain its value close to $1 through smart contracts and on the Ethereum blockchain. It's regulated by MakerDAO. How it works is that users deposit a certain cryptocurrency which is accepted as collateral and can then borrow DAI against the value of their deposits. Since the collateral in this case is crypto, the price of which might change, the value of the collateral might either increase or decrease. If it happens, there are certain mechanisms which are in place. For instance, if the value of a collateral drops below the ratio, the loan is liquidated. If the value increases, additional DAI is given. As the loan and the interest are repaid, the returned DAI is destroyed. The collateral can then be withdrawn, which is how DAI's USD value is backed by the USD's value of the collateral held by smart contracts. The fourth less popular type of stablecoins are those which are not backed. These stablecoins have no reserves both off-chain and on-chain. Instead, complex algorithms are used to control the supply with adjustments, which are made directly on-chain. The value of such coins is determined by the supply and demand correlation, and no collateral is needed to mint such coins. To give you an example, if the price drops below the initial value, the algorithm buys the stable coin, thus reducing supply. If the price goes above the initial value, the algorithm issues more coins. Here, bigger supply stops the price from rising even higher. Both of these processes are designed to bring the price back to the initial value. Regardless of the type of the stablecoin, what you should remember is that it's pegged to a stable asset. It can be minted and there is a promise that the coin can be redeemed. The hype around stablecoins has everything to do with their potential and the scope of possible applications. The stability mentioned earlier is one of the reasons why so many people see stablecoins as the future of the financial system. Low transaction fees, convenience of sending international remittances are some of the important factors why more and more people advocate for the adoption of stablecoins. However, while the future of stablecoins might look promising, there are also risks associated with them. Mostly, they have to do with the issuers of these stablecoins, since they are the ones who manage their reserves. Those that have on-chain collateral are exposed to digital security risks. Moreover, more regulations are needed to make sure that everyone plays fair. So I guess the conclusion here is that no matter what, we should all remember that there is no 100% safe option, and we should always be mindful and careful when investing. This was our episode for today. If you found it useful, please consider subscribing. My name is Vlad, and this is your BunnyMoney channel. See you in the next episode.